Hello, I just want to talk. Okay? I got another fun bit today. All right, check this one out. You're going to see this one on the screen. Check it out. It says, question presented. How do you act when a person harms you? This is the question that I'm presenting right now, and this one is going to be a fun one, all right? So I just want to paint a picture because the timestamp right now is July 2026, and America's is going through some things right now, and it's really fun to experience and it's really fun to witness. We're watching two systems battle it out within our boundaries of America, and it's really cool to see, and it's really cool to be a part of, right? Because we have two ancient systems. One was created by God, and then one was created by adversary. Okay, these are the two systems that are going on right now, and we're seeing how the people are dealing with it because each man and each woman, they get to choose what system they want to participate in. Okay, everybody gets a choice, and you get to choose. All right, so check out this bit right here. Check out adversary. So I'm going to show you who adversary is. All right, but first we got to agree on some terms and some conditions, because I'm going to show you the Democratic Socialist of America. All right, this is who the adversary is right now in 2026. Okay, but before we go, we have to agree on some terms and conditions, because they have a very interesting word, socialist, right? So you have to track back socialist to what the word means and what it is, right? So what did I do? I just hopped on Wikipedia because I just want to get a really quick, not definition, but an understanding of what this term means. Okay. This is what Wikipedia says socialism is. Socialism is an economic and political philosophy encompassing diverse economic and social systems characterized by social ownership of the means of production as opposed to private ownership. Okay, social versus private. All right, the community versus individual, right? But this is a very interesting, tricky word right here. Because when you track back everything, you're always going to get back to an individual, right? There's always going to either be one man and one woman making a decision. If you put one man and one woman together, you have a social network, you have a social group. Okay, that's how it was created in the Bible. Right. So we always like to see how adversary likes to manipulate these words and these terms and these conditions. And then when you see economy just means your house, right? So they want to manage your house. So there's a whole different group of people out there that want to oversee your house, right? And we don't think that that's cool. We think that the individual has the ability to choose who administers their house. Okay. Now check out this bit right here where I say, remember, adversary always wants to cut you off from your God-given rights. Okay. This is always going to be a truth, right? Whoever your adversary is, they always want to remove your God-given rights from you. Okay. They don't want you to be free, right? They don't want you to have your life. They don't want you to have your liberty, and they don't want you to be able to pursue your happiness, right? So they make it very difficult for you to do those things by placing burdens on you. Okay. That's what adversary is always trying to do. Adversary, it's the first trick all the way back in the garden. When the serpent whispered in Eve's ear and said, hath God said? So whenever you have doubt over your creator, right, then you just know that adversary is creeping in and trying to cut you off. Okay. So we got this adversary right now in America called the Democratic Socialist of America, right? Because they're bumping in people's ears right now, telling them, private ownership is wrong. You are getting taken advantage of. You are being left behind. That's what they're doing right now. And it's eating a lot of people up because they're loving it. Okay. So let me show you what Wiki says about the Democratic Socialist of America. All right. So I'm going to just read what they say that they are. Okay. It says, the Democratic Socialist of America, you're going to see this on the screen too. The Democratic Socialist of America, also called the DSA, is a socialist political organization. All right. They're telling you who they are and what they are. Okay. in the United States. All right. So they're operating within the United States. Okay. So the United States already has a constitution with terms and conditions that are written in it. Okay. So this is what these people are trying to do right now. Check this out. It says, and the largest such organization in U.S. history. All right. This is the biggest that they've ever been, with more than 120,000 members as of July 2026. All right. That's the timestamp right now. The DSA is a big tent on the left wing of the political spectrum. Okay. They're telling you where they're flying on right now. It is primarily organized around the principles of democratic socialism. That's why I told you what socialism is, because, they just want to control. They don't want you to have private property. They want the community to control all the property. Okay, let's keep it going. It says it is primarily organized around the principles of democratic socialism, and with its members active in electoral politics, labor organizations, and direct action campaigns. Okay, they're telling you how they infiltrate right there. Okay, so they're going to infiltrate through politics. They're going to infiltrate through the workers, right? And then they're going to do some DA, some direct action bits right there. Those are also called private entities. DSA, which is not a political party, they're not a political party. It's an ideology. DSA, which is not a political party with its own ballot line, has a decentralized structure. This is the key point right here. This is how you know that they're copying my father's business right here. They copy my father's business and they don't even know it. Look at what it says. It says DSA has a decentralized structure in which local chapters and ideological caucuses have significant autonomy. All right. So that's where they have many members, right? They have one head, but many members. This is biblical, right? And this is what a lot of people don't understand, is that most of these fights that we're going through right now, or these skirmishes that we're going through right now, they're biblical. They're biblical in origin, but it flies over a lot of people's heads because they don't read the terms and they don't read the conditions. Okay. So that's the hook right there. And that's how they get into people's minds, is because they're a decentralized structure, right? They're decentralized, just like how believers of Christ are decentralized, right? It's the same way, just like how the United States of America is a decentralized entity, right? Many states, right? We got many states, one federation, right? Remember this, okay? It says the organization's largest chapters, this is where their bases are. The organization's largest chapters include those in New York City, where it's headquartered, Los Angeles, and the Washington metropolitan area. All right. So those are just the basic structure of the DSA, which right now we're going to say it is an adversary to the American system. They don't like the American system because the American system is built off of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Okay. They want communal, right? And whenever you hear communal, right, then you also have to look at whose community are you talking about? Who is the head of your community, right? And all of these bits right here, they're either going to trace back to Karl Marx, or Plato, right? That's what they're going to do. They're going to trace back to Karl Marx or Plato. And then we know that historically, they just don't pan out well for the people. Okay. They do not pan out well for the people. They may sound good. They may make you feel good, right? But they don't pan out well in the end, because any entity that doesn't believe in private individual freedom, right, then you know that they're an adversary of God, right? They're an adversary of the people. Remember this, okay, my neighbor? All right, so we're done with that bit right now. So we want to hop on our next bit right here, because we're going to circle back to our point, because our point, we had a question. How do you act when a person harms you? Okay, most people don't know how to act when somebody harms them, but we have terms and we have conditions that, show you what you're supposed to do. Okay. So if you have organizations that are actively harming the structure of America right now, then each man and each woman, you have a duty and you have an obligation to make sure that America is going to be America as written going on into the future, like our founding fathers said so, okay? It's biblical. It's biblical, okay? You know, and that's why it also says, John Adams, when he said, our constitutions are meant for a moral and religious people, okay? It's not meant for anybody other than someone who's moral and religious, right? And if you're not moral and you're not religious and you're following man's systems or humans' systems, right, then, you know, we got something in our government to correct you, okay? Now check out this bit right here. I'm going to show you what the Bill of Rights says, right? How do you act? Or how do you act when a person harms you? Let me show you what the Bill of Rights says right here. First, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, right? You can't stop what the people are saying. All right, check this out. Or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, right? They can't stop the people from coming together. And to petition the government for redress of grievances, okay? So if the government is causing harm to me, then I can send the government some words and I can say, hello, government, you're harming me. Your actions, the way that your agents are acting right now, are causing harm to me. Let me show you what the law says. Let me show you what you're supposed to do. And let me show you what you're not supposed to do. And this is how you need to correct your ways. If you don't correct your ways, I'm going to circle back around to you and I'm going to punish you. But first, I'm going to ask you nicely. And if you don't ask and if you don't respond, I'm going to ratchet it up. I'm going to ratchet up the pressure. Okay? Now check out this bit right here where we say one amendment to rule them all. Okay, you know, so we have the First Amendment that allows us to do what we can do so we can come together and we can talk about whatever it is that we need to talk about. We can think about whatever it is that we need to think about as long as we don't cause harm to man, woman, child, or the people. Okay, we're cool to do that. All right. But we also have our arms too. Now check out this bit right here where it says one amendment protects them all. So this amendment, the Second Amendment, protects all of the amendments, right? It protects all of the amendments. And this one flies over the people's heads too, because the people don't like to protect themselves. They're always looking for somebody else to protect them. Okay. You got to learn how to defend yourself. All right. Check this out. It says a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. All right. Remember that. That means that no government entity can interfere with your ability to get your arms on. You have the God-given right to defend your life. Okay. How do you do that? With arms. What are arms? Any type of tool that allows you to protect yourself. Okay. Remember this. All right, my neighbor. And we see that this is a problem too right now in a lot of states, where they have the wrong people administering the government, is that they put burdens on people in order for them to get their arms on. And then that's not cool, right? That's not cool. And the reason why it's happening right now is that there's a lot of people who don't know the law. They've never taken the time to read the law, just like how there's a lot of believers who've never taken the time to read the Bible and actually do what the Bible says that we're supposed to do. It's the same way with the Constitution. We have a lot of people that live in the United States of America, but they don't actually do what the Constitution says that they're supposed to do, right? They let somebody else tell them what they're supposed to do. And that's the problem, okay? This is why we're circling all the way back around to the fundamentals. All right, check out this bit right here where we say, use the law and sue if your rights are violated. All right, full stop right there. Okay, so if any entity, any person is violating your God-given rights, you in America, you in the United States of America, you have the right to sue them. Okay, you can take it to the court, right? You can take it to the court, and then you can hash it out in the court, and then you can say, look at what they're doing. This is what they're doing to me. And they also have a right to defend whatever it is that you're presenting to them too, right? But then you're going to have a jury. You should have 12 people in the box of your peers who hopefully, God willing, know what the law is, right? But most of them don't know what the law is because they're being taught by attorneys, okay? And this is what you need to learn right now, okay? So check this out. Use the law if anybody ever violates your rights. Look at this bit right here. It says, in suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, right? The right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of the common law, okay? So this is why you have to understand what the law is, what the common law is. Read your constitutions, understand what your Bill of Rights says, never move from those positions, right? Never move from those positions, and learn how to protect them, and learn how to go and associate and assemble with your neighbors. And you guys need to talk about these things together, because you're going to get reps, right? You're going to get representatives that are going to come to you, and then they're going to ask you if you will vote for them so that they can go and administer your government, right? But you have to understand where these people come from, because a lot of these people are being groomed by the adversary, right? So a lot of these people that are running in political positions right now, or in the representative positions of the people, they don't have the people's best interest in heart. How do I know this? Because look at what they have done to our country, right? You know, look at what they've done to the manufacturing industry. Look at what they've done to the educational industry. Look at what they've done to the healthcare industry, okay? Look at what they've done to your neighborhoods, right? You know, look at how they're all broken up and they're all not united anymore under one flag. You got a bunch of neighborhoods with a bunch of other flags flying right now when they're in the United States of America. And we don't think that that's cool, okay? All right, so I'm going to show you another bit right now too, because the question presented is how do you act when a person harms you? Okay. You know, so I just showed you what the Constitution says, right? You know, so if somebody harms you, that's what you do, what according to the Constitution, right? Is that, you know, first you assemble, then you instruct. And if they don't listen, take it to the court. Sue them, okay? You know, now this is what the Bible says that we're supposed to do. So I have this one titled right here where it says you have the neighborhood mediators, okay? So you're going to have neighborhood mediators, which means that you're going to have people who know what the law says, right? And you're going to have to be able, and they're going to have to be able to explain it in simplicity to their neighbors, okay? You know, but who's my mediator between God? You know, is Jesus Christ. Okay. So Jesus Christ is the one that mediates for me to God. Okay. So I'm cool and I'm set. Right. But Jesus shows me how I'm supposed to deal with my neighbors. All right. So check out this bit right here. Scripture says, dealing with believers, right? So this is a believer. This is somebody who believes that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Okay. This is what we're supposed to do amongst each other. But also we take this same script and we work with others like this too, who may not happen to believe Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. We can just do this in private contracts too. Okay. Now check this bit out right here. Okay. This is what Jesus said. Jesus said, moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, I'm going to pause on brother. So brother just means friend. Brother just means someone close to you. Brother means associate. Okay. It doesn't just happen to mean male, right? It can just mean associate. It can mean a friend. It can mean a neighbor, right? Somebody that is really close to you. That's what a brother is. Okay. All right. Rewind. Let's keep it going. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. This is a cool script right here. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. All right. That's step one, right? If your brother trespasses or injures you or harms you, go tell your brother, right? You know, go tell your associate, go tell your neighbor, go be like, hey, check this out, man. This is what you did. And this is what it did to me. You hurt me. I'm telling you this right now. Okay. Now check out the next level. All right. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established. All right. So now, if your brother doesn't want to listen, or your neighbor doesn't want to listen, then bring a couple more neighbors. Those are what we call third party entities. Okay. So bring third party entities who have no benefit from whatever it is that you guys are doing, right? And have them witness what it is that you guys are talking about. All right. Remember that bit right now. Okay. So then that way the testimony can be established, right? So you want to set everything up so then that way you have a record. All right. Check out the next level. And if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church, right? This is what you're supposed to do. Tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a publican. All right. That's what it says right there. So that's level 2. So just think about the church. The church would be something like the jury of your peers, but you're leveling up what the thing was done to you, and you're letting everybody know, hey man, look, this is what my neighbor did to me. He hurt me. This is how he hurt me. He needs to make me whole. Right. But when it says, if he doesn't listen, right, then let him be, right? Just let him be. So if he's not listening to you, let him be a heathen man and a publican. So a publican is just a tax farmer. That's what we call our governments, right? They're just a publican, right? And then you just know that you and him, you guys ain't walking on the same path, but you're marking him now. You're marking him and you're saying, okay, I can't really trust you because you cause me harm and you don't listen, right? You don't listen. You don't listen at the individual level. You don't listen when there's 2 or 3 witnesses, and you don't listen when the jury is there. Okay, so I'm just going to wash my hands with you, and I'm just going to kick rocks and keep it moving because now you're in this category. So I'm going to put you in that category now, okay? Now check out this bit right here. Verily, this is what Jesus is saying. Verily, I say unto you, whatsoever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Okay. Bind, bound, tie, connect. Okay. And whatsoever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Loose means destroyed, unbuilt. Okay. Break up. Okay. So if you lose something, you're breaking it up, right? If you bind something, you're tying it together. Okay. So we can either be bound together or we can break up. Right? It's real simple, A or B. All right, check this out. 19. Again, I say unto you that if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, if it shall be done for them of my Father which is in heaven. Okay? That's called association, right? So if 2 of my neighbors come together and we want to do something, and then, we put it down on paper, Father's going to hook it up. Remember, my Father's God because Jesus is my brother. Okay. Check out this bit right here. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. All right. That's the mic drop right there. So this is basically how you establish an association too, right? Real simple right here. It's in the Bible. It's in your face. And this is also in the secular world or in the Constitution. This would be your First Amendment. Okay. So this would be your First Amendment too. Okay. But we're done. We're done with this bit right now. So we have a final question. Who is your supreme authority? This is what I want to know with all my neighbors because, I just want to know who's your supreme authority. Who is the one that you follow, right? Me, I follow Jesus Christ because I'm a believer, right? And then I also have a duty and I also have an obligation to oversee my government, through the constitutions, right? So I got 2 hats that I can put on because that's just what I was created to do. My Father created me to be a keeper, or what you would call an overseer, or what you would call a trustee, or what you would call a fiduciary, okay? Or just an associate, or your brother, or your neighbor, okay? I got many titles. That I can put on, okay? All right. Let's go ahead and walk it back up now, okay? So I just wanted to show you those 3 bits from the Constitution where we say use the law and sue if your rights are violated. Just sue. If someone violates your rights, first talk to them. If they don't listen, sue them, okay? Because this is how you're going to get that action on, okay? And then I also wanted to show you who the adversary is right now. So the adversary is any entity that is always trying to cut you off from your God-given rights, okay? So if there is any entity that wants to cut you off from your God-given rights, first, you can read them. You can read them in your Declaration of Rights. You can read them in your Bill of Rights. But every man and every woman, you are all born by God, right? Even if you don't believe in God, right? And you were born with the ability to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, okay? You have individual private rights, okay? And any entity that wants to take that away, that's your enemy. Okay, remember that. That's your enemy. And we have an enemy right now called the DSA in America. The enemy also has many different masks or many different persons that they operate through right now, but it's the fundamentals are the same. The enemy is the one that wants to cut you off from God. Okay, that's who the enemy is, right? Or for the secular people, the enemy is going to be the one that wants to cut you off from being one of the people. Okay, the enemy is going to be the one that wants to call you a hyphen man, right? They want to call you a worker. They want to call you a person. They want to call you any type of hyphen, right? Then that's your enemy. You may not know this because you don't know what your God-given rights are, but that's what we like to do. We like to teach and we like to show. Okay, my neighbor? All right, that's it. I'm done. This one's off my heart and this one's off my chest. I'm going to put this together. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to see how it flows. I'll talk to you guys in the future. Remember, nobody's having more fun than us. Bye.